Yo, okay, so there's been a consistent theme in my storm videos starting in 2017, 2018, somewhere around there, but for sure in 2018 and in 2019 I was talking about it, and I still have the videos, and they're still up on YouTube. They're just privated on a different account than the one that I'm going to upload this to, but there's been a consistent theme since late 2019, early 2020, for sure 2021, where in the storm videos you can see me do something or talk, either take an action where I talk and it seems that the storm is reactive to what I'm doing. Simple explanation of why I think that is that in the book of Revelation there's a message to 7 churches. I don't think it's an actual message to 7 churches. I think it's a message to, because it directly says that it is like a symbolic thing right after it says send them to these 7 churches. So it's a message to someone in the future who's going to believe the message and then meet the if-then conditional statements set forth to the churches, which are not churches. It's like, meet this and I'll give you this. Okay, that's church 1. Church 2, meet this condition, I'll give you this. That's church 2. And then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up. And the 7th one culminates with Jesus, who is Yahweh, the God of Israel, the God of the Bible, the supreme God, Jesus grants you to sit with him on his throne, or the one who conquers. He grants the one who conquers to sit with him on his throne as he sat down with his Father on his throne. So Jesus sat down with Yahweh on his throne. Jesus is inviting the one who conquers onto his throne. And I'm the only one that I know that has broken it down in that simple of terms in 2,000 years. And I'm also willing to believe. The most important first step of this is to know what it's saying and believe it. And I do that. And then you can see significant supernatural happenings around me if you're watching me. And probably the most obvious one that I can then take and record is storm activity, because that's one that is directly and obviously under the control of Yahweh. That is like that is across the Old Testament into the New Testament. Jesus obviously has control of the storms. There's a ton of storm activity in Revelation. So in this video I'm just laying it out, and I'll continue to do this, and I think we're slowly headed there where it's going to become more and more obvious that I'm the guy who conquers at the 7 churches. And at some point I'm going to be sat down on the throne of Yahweh. And if I'm going to be in the future, I already am. He who was and is and will be. It's like a past, present, future thing. And so, that being said, this storm is about to come. Like, I need a storm to show storm activity, though I do think I can show other videos where it seems pretty apparent, like whatever storm activity has happened somewhere else may be connected to something going on with me. This seems delusions of grandeur, grandeur, well, you know, at a certain point, there's just a pattern on film that I can show, and at some point it's going to be overwhelming. And I think probably the point about the point that I've been making, that I think it's like, okay, I think if I've been saying it and it's really obvious but people are pretending it's not happening, and then at some point I just essentially pull lightning down out of the sky, just like you see me do so. I mean, there's already been enough times where you've seen me do like a thing, and then you see lightning based on seemingly me stressing some part of my body or doing some kind of physical exertion of energy, which I think is connected, and you can clearly see the immediate response. And but you know, in order for me to show it, there needs to be the proper conditions around, because I'm don't believe I'm at the point yet where I can just do it. But I do think at some point in the future I'll just be able to do whatever, whenever, however, Superman-esque type stuff. But if you're doubting what I'm saying, you can go through all the videos on my, or a lot of the videos on my Storm channel, or on this channel, my main channel, in the Storm playlist. Everything's time-stamped. I literally even explain it in the timestamp what I'm doing. You can see it. At a certain point, the pattern just has built for so long and is so obvious. And then if one hyper obvious instance where I just, again, pull lightning down out of the sky, I'm not saying that's going to be tonight, but at some point I do 100% believe it's going to happen. Like something so obvious it's undeniable is going to happen. And then we're at the point where something is going to change massively in our world. But anyway, I'm going to chill out on the talking and just let the storm do the talking. But and I'm recording this from multiple angles, and you know, at a certain point it's probably going to be directly overhead. I'll go in the house and I'll be recording what I'm doing while I'm recording from the phone. So 2 angles, and then there's going to be the GoPro angle. So I'm going to have 3 angles of what's going on. And I guess I'll add one additional thing. In like Thessalonians, one of the Thessalonians, I think it's 2nd Thessalonians, it talks about there's like something going on in secret. And what I've been saying is, very clearly something is watching me, like some group of people that I can point to. And they are reacting to my private life on, like in my phone, things that people shouldn't be able to see. And essentially subtly hinting at, they can very clear, or not so subtly sometimes, to the point where I can point to it and numerous examples of it, and it's really obvious that it's going on. I think that's the thing that is saying, like, there's rebellion going on in secret, and then it, you know, something happens and it gets brought to light, and then the events of Revelation unfold. If what I'm saying is going on, it is a massive violation of me as a person, of like and as wild and absurd as I am and have been, I don't deserve it. It seems to have happened for no reason, or maybe it's happening because very clearly, if you're watching me, this is, you know, this stuff is happening. There's an obvious pattern. And so, yeah, I think that's what that's talking about. And probably the part in Revelation that it, like, Satan falls to earth and drags 1/3 of the princes or stars with him. You know, there's a part in Luke where it says, I watched Satan fall like lightning from the sky. Well, like, that would make a lot of sense if I pull lightning down from the sky, because that hadn't happened yet in Luke, actually. I think it's just hinting at what's going to happen in our thing. But again, if I clearly exert force and you see lightning come down from the sky from something that I've clearly done, and there's a pattern, and I've been saying it for years, there's going to have to be some kind of change in the world, in our reality land. And just being silent about it and, essentially like pretending from afar that it's not happening, it's not going to be able to continue. So, just heads up, that's what things are, why they are the way they are. I'm not completely sure, but I think I've laid out enough to where it's like, this is happening, this is what the Bible is about. Most other religions are pretty verifiable, like easily discountable. I mean, like, just look at Islam. They don't even have a name for Allah, and Allah is just a title. It's just the Hebrew title means God. So Yahweh is God. But they've, something has taken over and switched God to God. And while God is God, Yahweh is God. And they've taken that out. But, holding to that, showing people that Yahweh really is God. The Most High, not just some, like, fake, silly concept that men have made up. It's really obvious that the Bible is real and this is going on. And I'm not a perfect person. The person who conquers at the 7 churches gets rebuked multiple times for different things. I'm not a perfect person. In fact, that person goes to jail, goes to prison for something, for being slandered. And again, well, if I'm being watched, and I have been for a while, and people have lied about what's going on in this situation, yeah, that's slander. So that makes sense of that. So anyway, let's just keep watching, and we'll see how this storm unfolds. I just wanted to preface all this, because this is reality. Alright, well, I'm going to talk considerably less, if at all. I'm going to stop talking for a while. So, anyway, since this is going on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. If you want to comment that I'm crazy and talking about all this, well, what do you think reality is? How can you make sense of the pattern of over 5 years, at least, of me recording these and you clearly seeing probably more lightning and storm activity in my videos than, like, storm chasers, and I just sit in one spot? Or the volcanic stuff that currently you can't see all of it, but I mean, there's clear instances where it's like directly related to what I'm doing, and I say it and then you see it. I mean, what are you just gonna pretend that's not happening? My point is, yes, people have been pretending it's not happening and trying to obfuscate it and, stay silent on it. And at some point, again, pulling lightning from the sky or something, supernatural, very obviously happening in my video that is, like, unexplainable, with this long-term me laying out what's going on, will lead to a massive change. At least, that's my plan. We'll see what Yahweh has planned, but this sounds about how I imagine things are going to go. So, again, I'm going to stop talking now, but yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go get some water. I'll leave the camera over here, though. Okay, be right back. is dropping right now, but once it picks up pretty much any more than this, I'm gonna head back inside and I'll transport this camera up to my room, and I'll try not to turn it off because I just want it to be one continuous video. So I think that's what I just described is happening now, so I'm gonna do that. This is the same day that there was basically a tornado directly over Fort Worth that did not touch the ground, but definitely was in the air. So a funnel cloud, like partially formed tornado, and large hail across the DFW area. So that is some context. We're gonna make a quick stop at the back of the house so I can change the direction that the GoPro is looking. It's at a pretty extreme angle compared to where I want it. I'm gonna face this here for a minute. And I'm just adjusting the GoPro. Okay, I'm content with that. There's the GoPro. And I'm gonna go inside. now I'm recording on, this is my setup here, so I'm recording on that also. Give me a moment, I'm gonna switch mounts. Okay. And it's coming down. Adjust this there. Okay, now when I do things, you can very clearly see it on the camera that I have set up watching. Or, from the computer that's recording. And I will sync these videos so that you'll be able to see exactly what I'm doing. to figure out if I should face it to the right or to the left, as it is facing to the left currently. The storm is going to be coming in from the right, but I have the GoPro watching outside, and that should catch what's going on, and I can sync up all the videos, so alright, good. Also, I'm pressing into my right side a bit. My right leg seems to yield a lot of electric results. Electrifying results. I need to readjust the camera, I'll do it. But I think it's facing the right. Pressing hard into my right leg. Engaging the spot, which in previous videos I've explained is somewhat gimped. But it seems to be opening up as I work on it. Whatever that means. Alright, switching to the left side. As I've explained in previous videos, symbolically the left side is the side that you would carry a shield on, and the right side is the side you would carry a sword in. In Ephesians it talks about having the shield of faith, right? And I believe that's my left eye, which is why my left eye, compared to everybody else's left eye, I actually have faith, and I'm willing to act on it. But the right side is power, and I think the sword of the Spirit, and what I think that engages with is manifesting, like, Yahweh, Jesus, in our reality, which is why the right, when you see me working on the right side, you see like very powerful things seem to come when I'm trying to exert through my right side. That's the side that the scroll in Revelation is in, the 7-sealed scroll. That's the side that the stars are in Jesus' hand. So if Yahweh is on the throne with a 7-seal scroll, then Jesus is also superimposed just like Yahweh is on that throne. The 7 stars are like those 7 seals. And if I conquer at those 7 stars, just as Jesus, the Lamb, conquers at the 7 churches, at the 7 seals, I think it unlocks, for me, what it says it unlocks for Jesus in Revelation. Because what else would all that cryptic stuff mean? The way I explain it is the only way it makes sense. It doesn't make sense as church ages. It doesn't make sense as anything else. It makes sense as a guide for someone who's going to do clearly exactly what it says and meet the if-then conditional statements that it clearly puts forth. Done. That's it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, literally ground-shaking thunder and an insane lightning strike. I hope they caught that. Right after I say Yah. I mean, it's the name of God that everybody drops, and there's actual power in it. And, like, all of Christianity doesn't say it. They'd rather say Lord or God. Same thing with Judaism. It's literally why Judaism has such a hard time with Islam, is they can't say the name of the God they follow. But okay, whatever. Same thing with Christianity, too. But come on, you just saw it. I mean, like, I could not be more logical with this, too. It's not like this is hard to follow. It's like, what else would this ancient narrative be about? I mean, come on, seriously. Also, here's another thing. I think in Hinduism, there's a concept called prana. In Buddhism and Taoism, there's a concept called ki or chi. In Western esotericism, there's a thing called vital energy. Basically, what I'm getting at is around the world, it's called different things. But in the Bible, this thing is called, the life is called ki. Sounds a lot like what Taoism calls it. And remember, Tao is just a letter from the Hebrew alphabet. The last letter. But do you think maybe there's like a universal thing that's people have been trying to say for a long time, and the like most complete, truest version of it that is linked to the actual supreme deity who made everything is the Hebrew Bible, or I mean the Old and New Testament? You think that could be it? Because I think it's pretty obvious that's what it is. And that Jesus was Yahweh. Jeremiah 23, 5 and 6, the righteous branch of David, who even Jewish rabbis will say that, yeah, that's talking about the Messiah, is called Yahweh. And not like an altar or a place is called Yahweh, as you might dedicate something to Yahweh like that. But this person is Yahweh. Yahweh Sidkenu. In other words, the only other person in the Bible called Yahweh is the Messiah. And that person had to come by a certain time, as explained in the book of Daniel. And if it ain't Jesus, it ain't anybody else. So that rules out Judaism. This rules out, the fact that Islam doesn't even have the name Yahweh rules out Islam. There's just a bunch of deities with random stories attached to them, and in most of the Eastern religious texts and stuff. So, I mean, there's really no logical, reasoned, ultimate reality in any of those, other than some verbose semi-spiritual understandings of the world. And I was listening to some the other day to like Buddhism. In Buddhism, I think, this is what this guy was saying. Maybe it was in Hinduism. They wrote so many texts, but nobody was reading them in these temples because the ultimate reality is silence, which in the Bible, silence is, you shut people up silent in the dungeon. It's not a good thing. The home of silence is not something desirable. In the Bible, Yahweh, Logos, is reason. Like the thing that I just did where I reasoned out all these concepts. And it makes logical sense in the realm of if you have a brain, you should be able to understand what I said. I mean, one last point, I'll just get back to the other thing. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's like, the book of John, chapter 1, how it starts off, and it sounds like, what is he talking about? I mean, it kind of is beautiful and stuff, but it doesn't really make sense. Well, if you know Hebrew, and you read Genesis 1:3, it sets up what's going on, and then the first word that Elohim, which is the word meaning God, which is where the word Allah comes from. So, again, Allah is just a title. But in the Bible, Elohim says, Wa Yomer Elohim Yoi. Yod Hey Yo. Yod. Yoi. Be light. Order. Just as I said, the name Yahweh earlier, and like there was a pretty spectacular demonstration, and I think again as we continue to move forward, there will be more literally a more spectacular show by Yahweh of like, yes, he's clearly here, and his name literally means I exist. That's like one of the biggest questions of people in modern day is, does God exist? And Yahweh, his name literally by definition means he exists. But in the beginning the Word was with God and the Word was God. Okay, well, Yod Hey Yod, the name Yod Hey is Yahweh. It's the short form of Yahweh. So in the beginning the Word was God, the Word was with God. Well, it just makes sense of that. And again, I feel like I'm the first person in probably 2,000 years to get what this basic thing, if you just understood Hebrew, was saying. But okay, I'm gonna now. Because I understand sometimes it can be a bit much, but it's just very frustrating on my end when, like, hypothetically I'm right. Like, how difficult would that be as a person when people are, like, choosing to lie about what's going on around you in order to maintain a reality that's shitty for you? And, like, it's literally, like, you can see works of power happen on camera. I mean, multiple times in a long pattern over years. So, if I come off as a little, you know what I'm saying? It should be obvious as to why. Here, let me make sure the camera's set up facing the right direction, or like a direction where Okay, I'm gonna turn it now. Because the GoPro's already watching that way, so we should be able to capture that. This is the way that I believe is going to be the active. I believe we need to face the camera this way. That's what I'm getting at. Whatever. Whatever. And you know what I would say? If you've been watching me and reacting to the story in my phone in my picture gallery, which is, you know, it's pretty wild shit. That's kind of the point is, you know, seemingly the more wild it got or gets, the more people react, which I can then just point to and be like, well, clearly there's a reaction here. And it's like, so again, there's a logos to that. There's a reason to that. It's not as if there's not a reason why I do a lot of things. But anyway. If you're like, oh, maybe he's not wrong, he's not bullshitting, and this is clearly going on, I would say you can change your mind. That's what the concept of repentance is. That's what the word in Greek means, metanoia. Literally, change your mind. You know, believe the obvious tenets that Jesus is Yahweh. He died for your sins. He was raised. That's how death is literally defeated. And that at some point we're going to hit a singularity and go to the kingdom of heaven. You know, like, believe in the tenets of Christianity. If you're Jewish, hey, Jesus was Yahweh. Jesus was the Messiah. He was Yahweh. If you're Muslim, it's the same thing. You know, tell anybody. Believe what it says. And then help me instead of fight me, and like stop pretending that this isn't happening or like subtly hinting at me, and just directly help me in the way that I'm asking. And you know, I'll consider it even. Remember, even Rahab the harlot, the whore in the Old Testament, right? She helps Joshua and Caleb, these spies, right? And Yahweh, like, she's mentioned as, like, basically a hero, biblically, right? Just because you have a past that isn't great doesn't mean that you can't change and have a better future. But stop, change your mind, stop sinning, go the other way. And to sin means, the word sin is just miss. It's missing. You're missing the point. It's not some weird arbitrary Christian thing. It's literally the Hebrew word meaning to miss. Like, you're missing the point. Okay. Like, here's a good one. Here's a good example. As I'm saying, there's this, you know, I have a story in my phone, with my phone picture gallery. And, you know, it's clear it's somewhat public, or at least some group of people doing something maybe similar to what would be called gang stalking, is watching my private story, and it's a little disconcerting, right? I think that's the point. But at this point, it's like, okay, if you're gonna help me, like, you're not gonna beat me by, so if you're against me, you're not gonna beat me using that method, and if you're for me, just hello, say hello, yo, say yo, you know what I'm saying? And a good example, someone who I'm pretty sure I can prove at this point has watched it, because enough time there's a pattern of, hey, this thing is, you know, there have been enough posts immediately, like, following what goes in my story, some kind of reactive post on social media. You know, Alessandra Ambrosio, the supermodel. Yes, beautiful woman. Probably could be a great person, could be Jezebel. I don't know yet. Still trying to figure that one out. But, you know, here's a chance. You can be like Rahab or whatever. So, okay. I'm gonna leave the camera to do this, and I'm gonna go check on the GoPro and make sure that it's got a good angle going. But I'll be back, okay? And you know, maybe continue this, maybe not. camera and you can see from the computer, this is not comfortable. This is what I'm talking about with my right leg. When I was looking today, I noticed, I've talked about a lot that like, yeah, it looks like my left side is like whole, and it looks like most people's right side, like they have a strong side, like they're navigating the world with a sword, or with like, I guess I think I read that it also has to do with taking, like receiving with the right hand. You receive something with the right hand. But like, you know, me using the left hand, it's like using the shield, I guess. I was looking today, and the German track athlete Alicia Schmidt. This is something I noticed with a lot of people, but as a track athlete, first of all, she's like got legs that are developed, so you can judge from them. They're lean and they're muscular, and then like what you wear in the events that she's running is like revealing up to the thigh. Like, I mean, you can see a lot. So this is why this is, I think, a good example. As I say, most people, it looks like I'm looking in a mirror as far as like my left side looks open, everybody else's right side looks open. Very few other people look like they have left eyes that are actually engaged and open. If you look at her right leg, like, you know, track athletes and most athletes should be pretty balanced. I mean, if they work on their balance, and especially, you know, like a runner or somebody who's sprinting, like, you would think that there'd be, like, equality between the legs. But it's very clear her right leg is her dominant leg. It's, at least to me, it's obvious. This goes with a lot of people. And, you know, I like looking at women, so I look at women a lot, so I can give you a lot of female examples. But there are also, I can give you soccer player examples, because I watch a lot of soccer, and, you know, I think you can judge a lot by someone's legs, or their athletic ability, or, you know, soccer ability maybe, but whatever. So another example, speaking of Alessandra Ambrosio, it looks like her. You can just see in a lot of her pictures, and Irina Shayk. But they're two good examples, but I would say the main and best example is Alessandra Ambrosio. Looking in her right eye looks very strong. Looks like it's all the way open, completely engaged. Her left eye just looks like she just can't engage in it, and it doesn't look like she doesn't want to. It looks like something's preventing it. And, you know, same thing with Irina and others. And I can't tell if it's a choice, like, to not be. I can't see why you would choose. When I got hit by the car, I made this statement, and it's very true. This is less comfortable than getting hit by a car. And getting hit by a car was not comfortable, but it's more comfortable than this. So if this is being felt on everybody's right leg who's like looking at me, or at least who I'm looking at, who's looking at me, who's looking back, like a mirror thing, it's being mirrored on people, then I'm sure this isn't comfortable. I just like, and part of me thinks like, well, maybe, you know, maybe it requires some kind of, either you're like, I I can't figure it out. You're either against me or you're for me. I don't know which one it is, to be honest. Maybe I'm honest to a fault. Maybe that's a problem, but maybe that's also a good thing. I mean, I think it's a good thing, but can't tell. Just like I was saying, I don't know if Alessandra Ambrosia is like my greatest help or if she's Jezebel. Like, but part of it is if I'm gonna be the guy from Revelation, I didn't need a Jezebel. So, and I guess that would still be my greatest help, even if she was. But what I mean is like not like that someone else is Jezebel and she's helping me. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. But when you look, Alessandra in the eye, her right eye, very strong. Like I said, looks good, very healthy, like open, all that. When you look her in her left eye, it looks like just like on my right eye, something's closing it. And again, there's plenty of people like this. I think she's just a good example because it seems pretty obvious to me. She's looking back, or someone who's in control of her social, like she's looking back. Someone in control of her social media, both. I mean, so what I'm saying is, hypothetically, I pull lightning from the sky, literally just pull it from the sky, or even, just get to the point where consistently, maybe that thing that I did earlier with that one, well then, and consistently maybe in the same storm or something. I don't know. It'll be pretty obvious. That's what I'm saying. I was like, pull lightning from the sky. That seems close enough. Whatever. When that happens, but my thought is, well, you probably would have been better to have just reached out first. I mean, is something blocking things from getting to me? Stop. Get help. Yeah, that was a joke, but the get help thing, it's a meme. But like, is someone blocking people from contacting me? You should stop, I would say. Is there a situation going on around me? People should have a light shined on it. You should shine a light, because it'll be worse for everybody. I mean, that's seemingly what the narrative is. If you don't, right? So I think at some point someone just does. But again, that might have to come after pulling lightning from the sky, which it doesn't look like I'm that far off. Just being honest, like, I mean, really conservative estimate, 10 years? Like, seriously. Super liberal, like, pink and blue haired estimate? Do it right now. That's it. That's another joke. Okay, I'm gonna try to stop with the jokes, the bad jokes, the dad jokes, the puns. I'll chill out with them. But, realistically, like a couple years, a few years. How old was Jesus when he started his ministry? 30? How old was he when he was crucified? 33, something like that, right? Well, how old am I? 31? Be 32 here in a couple months, right? In June? When I was in the jail, which again, if you're gonna be the person who conquers at the churches of Revelation, it's one of the things that has to happen based off slander. And again, if I'm on some kind of thing that people are watching, it's clearly slander, but it's clearly defamatory because it doesn't engage the entire situation in its totality. This isn't even semantics, that's just what it is. But when I was in there, my nickname was Jesus. They just called me Jesus. They didn't call me Matt. Like, hey, Jesus. Like, okay, well, Matt, Yoda, Milkins, those are nicknames that I had everywhere else, but Jesus was a new one. Also, Buff Jesus, but, you know, personally, I think I could be a little more, you know, buff. At least get more ripped. But anyway. Let's also recap. The person giving the message to the churches, the 7 churches of Asia, Revelation, it's Jesus, right? Most people would agree. Like, one of them is, he gives a rock that has a name written on it, but only the person who receives it knows, right? And then in the next church, you get an iron rod. Okay, well, those are 2 things that the one whose name is the Word of God, which most people would say, oh, is Jesus. And he comes back at Revelation 19, he has an iron rod, and he has a name written on him, only he knows. And if he's the stone that you receive, well, then that makes sense. But then also, Jesus changed his name 2,000 years ago. He's just Yahweh. I mean, that's like, he's Yah. I mean, seriously, that's even why Revelation 19, they're saying hallelujah when it starts. This is Yah. I mean, I'm calling him Jesus because you wouldn't know who I'm talking about specifically. I could say Yah the Christ, but even then. But like, yeah, that's, no one's like... So, recapping. Jesus hasn't been Jesus for 2,000 years. He's been Yahweh. Right? You get it? Because if it was a new name 2,000 years ago when he gave it to John the Revelator, it ain't that new. I mean, let's be real. Also, here's another thing, which I've maybe figured out recently. Maybe this is right. So in at the 6th church, it says, like, I will make you into a pillar in the temple of my God, and I'll write on you the name of my God, the name of the heavenly Jerusalem comes down from my God out of heaven, and my own new name. Well, all those names are Yahweh, because Yahweh didn't change his name. Exodus 3:14, for all generations, he says Yahweh is his name. The heavenly Jerusalem, it's either Jeremiah 33, 5 and 6, or, so, which is Yahweh, or it's Ezekiel 48:35, something like that. Very end of Ezekiel. Yahweh Shema. It's one of those, and those are both just Yahweh. So, see, that's Yahweh. And then, if those are both Yahweh, and Jesus is saying he has a new name and it's Yahweh, well, that fits the narrative, and so that's Yahweh. Okay. But the pillar thing, I was like, okay, well, reading stuff like, hey, this is talking about being like the apostles were called pillars, but, and I looked up the word in the Septuagint, like what word would be equivalent to the word used here, and I got, you know, some answers. I think it's something like, I got some answers. I even have a PowerPoint put up about it, but I don't want to say the wrong thing, so I'm gonna avoid that part. But I'll say this: recently, I was watching a video, and it was talking about this wine press that they found. This olive press. It was like somewhere in the city of David, and it's like there's an altar, some kind of altar set up maybe to Melchizedek or something. But there, in one of the rooms, there's a matzeva, matzaba, from, so the word Yahweh Sabaoth, which is commonly translated as Lord of Hosts, Sabah, and then a mem in front of that word, matzeva. I think it's pretty close. Anyway, they are very close to each other, and I think that's what I came up with. But anyway, even if that's wrong, what they would do to this pillar is anoint the pillar. Like at Bethel, Abraham anoints this pillar. That's the same thing, like, that is the word for anointed. So, like, you know, the Messiah, Mashiach in Hebrew, which turned into Messiah, and also in Greek it's Christos, so Christ. He's anointed because at a certain point they stopped doing it to the pillar, the matzebah, and they started doing it to a king. And I think what they're saying is like, I'm gonna put my name on you and I'm gonna anoint you, like, you know, Christos. I'm gonna Christ you. And this is from Jesus the Christ who's saying this. But I think he says it like he says it, so that it's, you know, I guess cryptic. I don't know. You have to search for it. When you seek and ye shall find, or something like that. So anyway, I mean, that makes sense. The thing about the pillar, and it's just like, I'll make you into this pillar. It's like, I've always been like, what is this talking about? Why would it be such a critical thing? Like, why would this be such a big deal? Oh, well, if it's saying that it's like, okay, I'm gonna make you into this pillar, and this is the thing that gets anointed. Oh, well, then that makes sense. I mean, come on. And I haven't seen that in any footnotes that I've ever read about it, so. But if, you know, I could be wrong. I think all the other stuff I'm not wrong about. This one, again, very honest. Like, it seems the most plausible explanation of what this is saying to me. Give me some time to continue to suss it out. I've just been busy doing, you know, trying to do a lot of stuff, including this. This takes hours to do. This is going to be like probably a 2-hour-long video on here, like a 2.5-hour-long video on the GoPro. This video, I'm going to cut it all together. I'm going to post up multiple videos online and make a description and watch it and timestamp it. And yeah, it just takes time. So, you know, I think in the end it's worth it when I pull lightning from the sky and it's very clear I wasn't wrong. Police car just drove by. Yeah, ever since the whole slander thing, I've been, you know, a little on edge about the police, so sorry. Not sorry. But, you know, I get it. Government has the sword for a reason. I understand. It makes sense. Just looking for a more just society and a better way forward in reality. That's it. One where we don't die. That sounds a lot better than the option we get now. And what I'm talking about? Oh, well, the tree of life, the thing that you get at the first church, if you conquer at the first church, and that seemingly is, the leaves of which are the therapy for the nations that seem to give, this is the thing that you eat from it, and, like Adam and Eve, they could have eaten from the tree of life, but instead they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and then covered themselves with fig leaves. That's a thing about Buddhism, because, all this mindfulness and meditation, and like the beginning of the Bible is like, yeah, they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and to try to cover their mistake, they covered themselves with fig leaves. And what's a fig tree? It's a Bodhi tree. That's what Buddha obtained enlightenment under. Well, I think the Bible is just saying, yeah, that's how Adam and Eve tried to cover up their stuff, is some kind of like mysticism and whatever, and ultimately it doesn't do it. And it definitely ain't the tree of life, where you live forever. But yeah, the person who conquers at the first church, which is, the person who conquers at all the churches, is just like a list of things. But the first thing you get at the first church, if and when you conquer at it, is to eat from the tree of life. Oh, hey, that's immortality. Or you don't die the first death. And then the next church is you go through the thing and you don't die the second death, which is okay, I'm going to kill, Yahweh is basically that. I'm going to kill death. And this is the whole thing of, death doesn't have power. I could explain what I think it is, and how, I think time works and stuff like that, as far as, leading into a singularity, and then someone being outside of that and being able to affect it, and there's probably some kind of thing inside it, death, that is just, it only has the ability to kill things, and maybe it can live for forever, but at some point, death and, Satan, and, whatever things are operating in this weird supernatural reality, they get tossed into a burning lake. Volcano, molten lake, something, liquid lightning, as I like to call it, some kind of fire thing. Anyway, whatever, it's eternal torture, and hell is not a party. It's heaven. Just by the way, when people are like, yeah, hell, let's rock on, it's like, no, you're thinking of heaven, dude. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That is not hell. But even then, hell isn't anything in comparison to a burning lake of torture, which is just really Yahweh saying, I'm gonna put you in a place where you're just gonna be tortured forever, qualitatively worse than you could ever experience here currently, quantitatively forever. So, or on the other hand, eternal life, that party that you, for whatever reason, been tricked into thinking is hell, which, if you're that gullible, to me, whatever, go have fun. It won't be, but go experience it. It's not like you can get out of it once you have, but, that's your thing. Yeah, I'd rather not die and feel good forever and never feel anything bad. And, I'm going to say there's probably some other benefits that I'm going to save out of this video, but when Jesus comes back, he's on a mountain with 144,000 virgins. You're going to talk about Muslims killing themselves for 72 virgins. Jesus is like, okay, I'm out to do this. First of all, you ain't getting any virgins. Second of all, which, part of me is thinking, hey, that's going to be me. I'm pretty sure it is, but, that does seem to be the thing of, I'm going to come in and eat with you, But, watch my other videos on the subject. Like, there's literally on the Yahweh channel a video about the 7 churches. And I'm going to make another one. I'm going to be very thorough with this. It's just going to take a while. So, buckle up. Or take off your seatbelt. I don't really give a fuck. Like, seriously. Just don't stress me out on purpose. But, other than that, other than bothering me and, like, other people and stuff, do you. I was like... Alright, I think I'm going to end this video pretty soon here. We're at about an hour and 39 minutes. I'll give it to 1:45. 1 hour and 45 minutes on here. It is currently 2:55 a.m. Duh. Like, this is uncomfortable, and I have this issue with, like, my thigh and my knee and whatever. Oh, well, the guy who comes back in Revelation 19, which I've already talked about, like, he's pretty much like, I'm gonna give you this rock with a name on it that only you know, and then I'm gonna come back with a name on me that only I know. This kind of concept isn't mentioned anywhere else in the Bible. Oh, okay, well, they're probably linked. But anyway, the thing with the thigh is probably like the Genesis 32 thing where, like, Israel wrestles with this angel or some kind of supernatural being or God, I don't know, whatever. He wrestles with something powerful, and it renames him from Jacob to Israel, or Yasar El. Which has meaning, because all the names and all the stuff has meaning, and if you just learn any basic Hebrew, it all makes sense, which is always confusing to me how in Judaism, if you knew Hebrew and you're just reading it, it would be like, oh, what? This is so logical. But, like, most people just, they don't know. But, or they don't care. I don't know, I guess probably some guy pulls lightning from the sky, you might start caring, but I'm working on it. Anyway. I also think this means the other things, like the earthquakes and volcanoes and stuff, well, that just pretty much, I pull lightning from the sky. That's going to validate that too, just FYI. Oh, but, so the thigh thing. This, it says Jesus, the one with the name, one known as the Word of God, who comes back in Revelation 19, has the name Lord of Lords written on his, Lord of Lords and King of Kings written on his thigh. Which that's like a Persian title. And remember, Michael the Archangel is contending with the Prince of Persia in Iran. I mean, is this all about? Probably. Anyway, okay. So, the Prince of Persia, not the video game, but like the character from the Bible in Daniel 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there. I think it's 10, but or yeah, I think it's 10, maybe between 10 and 12, maybe somewhere in there. Michael or whatever this man in linen's like contending with the Prince of Persia. But like my thought is like, well, okay, well, you being the Lord of Lords and King of Kings, that kind of undoes anything Persian, because you're going to be over that person in rank. And considering in ancient Persia, isn't there a part in Daniel where the king is like, this is the true God of all things forever, have it written and decreed, or something like that. Well, it's like, well, if you've been following Allah, which is just a fake deity that has taken control of an Abrahamic fake religion, fan fiction religion, Again, it could just be any God. That's what that's my whole point is, like, Allah just means God. Well, which God? Not Yahweh. Change the narrative of Yahweh and throws the name Yahweh out the window. It's a very easy way to fool people and, like, conceptually take the concept of, the God of the Bible. But if, if this decree is, it talks about in Daniel, well, if Persia still exists to some degree in something, and, like, whatever this Iranian, like, this regime that's in Iran now, if, like, the people hypothetically, like, wanted to be Persia again, because I think most people are pretty tired of this phony, like, Islamic Republic thing. I mean, it seems like it by all the protests. They want to be Persia again. Well, then, yeah, it would be like, yeah, y'all been following a fake God because we got this decree from, mentioned in the book of Daniel. It's like, yeah, Yahweh, the Most High God of the Jews. That's the true God. Something like that. I don't know. I'm definitely paraphrasing there. But, okay. It's already past 1 hour and 45 minutes. So I am going to end this video here. I ramble a lot more than I thought. More than I wanted. But maybe that's good. Whatever. Off the cuff. Just enjoying myself and living life. Alright, anyway. I hope you've enjoyed. Here, let's take a peek outside. See what it looks like here. Okay, here, I'll do this. In previous videos, I've been like, alright, I'm gonna end it up, but, I'll hold it just in case, Yahweh wants to show off, like, one more, like, a final thing or something. And then, some of the videos, you get, like, the most impressive display of lightning in the video. In fact, that was, like, several videos in a row that happened, so I kind of haven't done that in a while, so I don't know, might as well. So, I guess I'll hold it up for like a minute here more or something, and, Yahweh, if you want to show something off, do it. If not, it's your prerogative. I mean, it's your decision. I think you already showed enough for me, but, but, lightning, pulling down lightning from the sky thing. It's coming. I'll also say this. I have total faith that he can do it, but he's gonna do what he wants. And, like, I can exert out, but, like, there's something just telling me, like, don't, not too intense right now. I don't think you're there yet. But Yahweh is always there and can just do, like, the thing earlier when I said Yah, and it was just like, and, like, the ground was shaking. You can just do that at any point. So, anyway, if he wants to do it, I'll do, like, 1 more minute worth of filming, and then I'll just end the video. That's unfair? That's fair. And if he doesn't want to do it, well, again, who am I to question him? I think, well, by the end of it, I think I'll be on the throne with him, but I think part of the narrative is I'm, you know, in this weird space where not quite yet, but soon. But kind of there, because I will be, but anyway. Anything, yeah? Alright, well, I think that is we're at 1:50. I mean, an hour and 50 minutes. And so I'm gonna end it here. And I think that was Yahweh saying, as far as one last display goes. Cue Gene Wilder and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You get nothing! So, anyway, alright. Hope you enjoyed. It's gonna be the end of this video. I'm gonna go get the GoPro. So, have a blessed one. Later.